Welcome, I'm Nid, your Karma Guide, and I would like to welcome you to this video just to bringing some movement into connecting into our soul's expression in this lifetime. So each month in the Embody Life Sanctuary, we explore a different theme, and this is the one for June. I hope that you find these movements supportive, and please do get in touch if you've got questions. And there's even more for you to explore and deep dive into the Embody Life Sanctuary. So if you want to pop down to the link below and discover more, there's a 14-day trial that will support you in finding even more resources and tools, and you're part of the community that co-creates what goes into this membership area of what's going to support you best at this time. A little note, I apologize for the quality of this video. A variety of technical things have occurred and it's not up to the usual quality that I love to produce on YouTube, but I hope that it still serves you with the quality of the content that's coming through. Much love. And so these moves are mostly focused around the solar plexus and its integration of lower body strength into upper body expression, which brings us to back bends. So we're gonna do a couple of moves to ground and open up the solar plexus, create some space, have a bit of warmth and strength in it, and then find some back bends. So this sequence is a little longer. Please take into consideration your own body's needs and well-being and choose modifications if you need to, depending on what there is going on in your body at the time you do this. Coming into our first action, which is just to connect into centering any needs. So we're gonna bring our fingers and place the index fingers into the armpit, and the thumb is in front of the chest, and have arms crossing to opposite armpit. And just take a moment if you want to close your eyes, settle your feet down. You can do this seated, you can do it kneeling, or you can do it standing, but just finding a stable base beneath you. And if you like, you can just start to let a little rock side to side. So it's actually like a little twist. You're just rocking yourself side to side, letting yourself settle. And there could be moments of stillness here that would support you more. And so feel free, if you want to be still, to drop into that stillness. Just feeling your energy ground down into the earth and settle. And then from here, we're just going to take a little arm movement, just starting to introduce a little flow. So if you can, keep your lower body still. And you can extend your left arm out to the side, and from underneath your armpit, reach underneath the arm, the soft part of the arm down to the pinky finger, and then through the third finger up through the center of the arm and into the chest. And we're just making this circuit under the armpit, down to pinky finger, third finger up the center towards the chest, and just making this circuit. You can begin to add in the rest of the body moving if you feel the desire to get a bit more of a stretch and an upper body mobilization. And then we'll change it over. Right arm reaches out, left hand under armpit to pinky finger, third finger, and back into the chest. And just enjoy stable, centered lower body as the upper body begins just to soothe out. And this heart connection, we just want to kind of soothe the heart for all the things that may be moving through us. And then we'll bring both hands to center on the chest. Take a moment. And then bring the hands down. And we're going to cross them over to the opposite side, kind of to the ribs at the bottom of those floating ribs at the side. Crossed over. You know, depending on your chest size, you might need to slightly adjust those elbows and forearms to be comfortable. And again, we're just going to settle here. If you want, you can remain still, or again, you could come to that slight rocking twist. And it might be that you're more of a side bending person too, so that's okay. Just any kind of little rocking rhythm that allows you to soothe a little bit. We're looking for this to soothe us. You know, our tendencies to be critical and harsh upon ourselves, and just taking this as an opportunity for just a gentle hug. If you wanted, you could add in a shh. Just all about settling down the body, letting you come in a bit more centered, grounded, maybe noticing you can feel your feet a little more onto the ground. Now, if you're seated, the next two poses will be standing from the demonstration. You can do the first one seated. You're going to come to the end of the chair, take your legs wide, turning your toes out at a 45-degree angle. And standing is the same thing with your feet. So we're turning them to the corners of the room. The knees are going to bend out over that second toe, so making sure we look down, we can see our big toe. And you're going to let your hands come to the inner thighs. Keep your spine long if you can. Inhale, and as you exhale, soften, twist over, looking up to the sky. Inhale, exhale, and twist. Keep pressing the feet into the ground to give you that strength. We want this steady strength in the lower body. You're pushing your hand into that inner thigh to create an opening in the hip as well. So an open, strong lower legs. And we're using the shoulder dropping into the middle to create a twist. So we're getting this slightly bigger stretch now into those ribs and the back of the heart. Do one more to each side, feeling free to have taken a break whenever you need to if your legs are feeling this. And then we'll come up, roll the shoulders and just let it soften and relax. So we're going to take our feet out a little wider, turning your right toes in at 45 now, so the opposite angle, and the left toes are going to go out to 90. So we've got our hips square, but our feet are going off to the side. And if this feels uncomfortable or you don't feel stable enough, you can use a chair to hold it onto, okay? And just be mindful, we're going to bend this front knee, again, over towards the pinky toe. And we're just going to start to reach that top arm up and circle it down and around. You can use the bottom elbow onto the knee. You could also use the chair. The back right leg is straight, the left knee is bent, and we're just opening this big stretch into these side ribs. This is what we're really interested in getting into, is this low rib portion. This is our solar plexus. It can get a bit tight and restrictive. We'll do one more big circle, and then we're going to come up to straight leg. Take a moment, let your arms relax. This is building strength. So the next one, we're going to keep that front leg straight. And we're going to take our arms out parallel to the floor. We're just going to hinge and tilt at the hips. Again, maybe you find the stretch becomes a little bit more intense now through this right side. Again, you can use a chair to support you. Again, reach if you want. You can take that arm overhead. Make sure though that the chest is opening forwards. This armpit is pulling, opening the chest, but the arm is by the ear. It's not behind. It wants to be by the ear, and we want to look up towards the sky from the center of the chest. That's going to really, really get into this tightness here. And then we'll inhale up, press down through your feet. We're not quite finished. We're going to do one more on this side. And this one you have an option depending on how you're feeling. So if you're feeling quite tired, you might want to slightly bend that knee. So it gives you a little bit more stability. And again, use that chair. Or you can keep that front knee bent. And there will be an option to be a bit more playful. So we'll take those arms again back out. I'm going to come back again into this tilt, but this time I'm going to keep this bottom arm parallel to the floor. So we're trying to get this rotation from here. We're going to just try and see it. Either we can hold still, or if you prefer and you feel like it's more supportive for you, feeling this core center switching on, you can bend and then straighten. Inhale to bend, exhale to straighten. For some, it will feel more supportive to build this fire and strength by holding still and working this rotation. So just see where your body is at, which one it is that's best for you today. Finding that power in at the front of the ribs, low floating ribs, solar plexus. Got one more. Feel those legs strong, push down into the earth to bring you up. And let those arms go. Let the shoulders roll. Let's turn those feet to the opposite direction. So left toes are turning in at that 45. Right leg is turning out at 90. We're going in for that bent version first. Hand, elbow to the inner leg or to a chair and just taking those circles. And it's up to you if the circles feel like they want to go up and out, or if you want to come round and down. You might want to play with doing a few each way and just seeing what works and supports you. Getting this opening into the chest. Really keeping the legs nice and strong. If you're wearing socks, be mindful of slipping. And we'll finish up this circle, coming back upright, straightening that front leg. So we're going to come into the hold and the stretch to begin, just to really open out into those sides. So press the feet out wide, really actively press them like you're trying to split your mat. And then at the same time, draw the heels in and up. So there's this scissoring of the inner groin, and that's going to create a stable base. Keeping the ribs soft. Come back again into that side, stretch, and if you felt like it was supportive, it might feel different on this side to straighten that arm. So you might say, no, I'm going to stay with that arm up on this side, and I'm going to focus on the rotation, getting the center of that chest up. And that arm is staying in line with the ear. So we want it to be slightly forwards of the shoulder. Legs are switched on, pressing out, zipping up, reaching if you want, even more through those side ribs, getting this lovely opening. And then we'll come back upright. Have a little reset if you need to. And remember, this is the one where there's some options for bending and straightening that front knee, but we are trying to keep both arms up if we can. So it might be that when you first begin this, you know, your lean is about here, and that might be the safest place for you to build this strength. You're going to feel it building in the upper core in particular. Working the legs, we'll come into that tilt out to the side. And again, you can stay here, or you can add in that bend. Exhale, push through the legs to straighten. And it's okay that the sides will be different. That's very normal. We're again still trying to get this rotation up towards the sky from this chest. And that's going to add to this work here in the solar plexus. And this is all about flexibility, right? It's all about being able to adapt, letting our ego adapt to things. As we bend and straighten that knee on the right side. And then we'll come back upright, push through those legs. Oh. And come to center. So now we've really woken up the strength in the lower body, feeling really nice and stable. We've opened and stretched out these sides. We're going to do one more for the core before we come into a couple of back bends. So some of you may have done this before. It comes up in other sequences. It's a very challenging exercise to do. So if you are at level 1 of this movement sequence, then that is perfect. Some people will never get past the first level because there's so many things that could be going on in your spine. But we will show what the possibilities could be for you. So it's going to be a roll up to seated with the knees bent if you can. You can have your feet a little further away from your seat to help you. And some of you will find it easier with the legs completely together to get that inner thigh engagement and help you come up. Now, I'm not warmed up, so we'll see how this goes. We're going to hug, similar to how we did at the beginning, hand to opposite armpit. Now, if that feels too much because you're going to tense in those shoulders, you could go for that rib cage hug a little lower down, and that can just help us keep this opening in the top of the chest, which we really want to try and keep as best we can. So trying to keep this opening of shoulders, tuck your chin in like you've got your giant orange between chin and chest. And then we're going to exhale, squeezing into the belly to roll ourselves up to seated. And then we exhale, we roll down one vertebra at a time and land on the spine. If for you this is as high as you get, that's great. You're going to stay here. You're just going to hold it and see if you can imagine pushing down your spine into the floor with your abs a little bit more each time, pulsing, maybe 5 pulses. Relaxing again, keeping this chest as open as you can, and then coming back down. The goal here is this center, is where my arms are crossing over. So if as you're doing it, you come up and that's where you stop, we just want to really focus on feeling this part work, on really engaging into the solar plexus. And to engage it is to push it down into your spine. Try not to think about it pushing up. Try and press down. What that does is it engages our deep mesentery muscles, which are right deep into the spine, into the digestive organs, and that's actually going to really help with digestive function, so digesting life experiences and helping us to move on from things. So we probably have, I'm going to say, 2 more of these, depending on whichever variation you're doing or feels best for your body in today. Remembering this openness, this ease in the shoulders. Feeling lots of power in those upper abs, the bottom of the ribs. So we want to know we built this strength in the legs when we were standing, and now we want to know we got it all the way up into here. So we've got this beautiful open stability going on here now. And then we can go into some back bending. And I'm going to choose just one back bend for today because this is, for many of us, enough in our modern lifestyles. So we're going to have our legs together still. We're going to roll the hands, palms down underneath your sacrum. Fingers are pointing down towards your feet, and you really want to reach those arms down towards your feet as best as you can. Now it depends on how long your arms are to your body as to how far those fingers will reach down. And also how flexible your shoulders are. So I have short arms but flexible shoulders, so I can get my hands a lot further down than if I had inflexible shoulders. I'm trying to roll my shoulders underneath my back. Okay, so I'm going to push down into my forearms and my elbows and my hands to help me do this. There is a back bend beginning to happen that you can see, guys. So lift pelvic floor, keeping this strength in the lower body, inner thighs are connected, and then we're going to lift up the chest, and if we can, come towards the crown of the head, finding this openness in the top of the chest. And then this could be where you stay. If you've got a strong core and your back is well and healthy, you can exhale, draw the belly slightly in and up and lift those legs together up towards the sky or off the floor, wherever you get to. But make sure there's only about 5% of weight in your head. Most of this weight is in the forearms, down towards the hips. Belly is switched on. And then we may let the legs come back down if they were lifted. Press into the forearms, tuck the chin to the chest, lengthen the back of the neck, and then let the shoulders and the elbows all roll out and open. And allow a few breaths there into the belly, just letting it all come down to the lower abs. Digesting this big opening experience, this big strength and stretch. And I purposely chose the fish for you guys because a lot of the time we get really congested in this upper chest. And we need to build the strength of opening it with the strength of the lower body. So really building in some more strength as we open, and it makes us more functional, gives us more functional movement to open the chest in this way. If the option of the fish pose doesn't feel supportive for you, a key part of back bends that come from this strength in the solar plexus to create a functional, open-hearted kind of connection is through our prone-facing back bends. So the most important thing that we begin to understand is what we began with our leg strength. So pressing through the tops of your feet will activate your knees, and pressing through the frontal hip bones as well will help to start to connect the pelvis down. You want to think about your pubic bone also pushing down into the floor. So we've got these 3 points on the front of the pelvis with equal weight into the ground. The feet are pressing, the legs are active. So it's like you're standing, you have your standing strength through your legs. Your navel will be gently drawing in as though you are coughing or making some kind of a tight belt around your waist. So we've got this support we just created, and we can keep the ribs connected if the back is vulnerable. Have your hands underneath your shoulders, elbows are tucked in, and this is going to start to engage these muscles in the upper back that's going to help us to protect the low back. So we've got all this strength in the lower legs, everything is active and pushing down, and then you can lift the nose and start to roll the shoulders back, and as you do this, you're keeping this strength in the lower body. That's going to protect the low back and start to open the chest and the heart. Now it might be that this is the place that you stop, where you've still got your low ribs in touch with the ground, you've still got this connection into the solar plexus to keep us strong and protect the low back. And this is a really great place to practice your back bends if you have low back issues, and start to build in this core and lower body strength as you come into opening this upper body. If your low back is okay and you've got quite a strong core, what you can do is you can start to keep the elbows tucked in and push the chest and the heart up, lifting up through the upper body, elbows tucked in, legs are still active on the floor, pubic bone still pressing down towards the ground, and come back down. So this may be a place for some of you to explore between the elbows and how straight they can come, keeping the shoulders in. We want to avoid the shoulders rolling in and up. We want to keep them rolling down, lifting up. And this, we're starting to open this solar plexus area, right? We're starting to feel this expansion here. If you feel like you've got the strength, if you feel like those legs are super switched on, the shoulders are going to be okay, as you come up, you can push the top of the feet, lift the legs and the pelvis, and come into that upward facing dog. This all comes from this leg strength, this upper back strength, and this core being switched on as we lift up and then come back and down. So there's the last one. If you feel like you want to have a go, whichever variation of back bend supports you at this time, try and work that upper back as much as you can. Work the top of the feet, push the hands down into the floor, lift, straighten the elbows, keep the shoulders squeezing back and down, push down through the feet, lift the knees, and zip up through the low belly, and then you can start to allow those ribs to just slightly roll forwards, like the back of the heart is lifting through and up. And then gently come down, turn the toes in, the heels out, let your hands come underneath your head, turn your cheek to one side, and breathe into that low belly so that you can start to just soften any tension in the low back from that back bend. We have worked those back muscles. And so we just want to be kind and breathe into it for a few breaths. And then you can roll back over onto your back. And if you need to counter stretch your low back, hug your knees into your chest and just take an easy rock side to side just to stretch out that low back. And then we'll release the legs and we will come into our final connecting of the chakras. And if it's the solar plexus to the heart or the solar plexus to the sacrum, are often the places we're going to be moving energies through. That might be where you're going to come into next. But trust your hands to fall where supports you best at this time. And just allow that connection to move between these 2 points where you let your hands rest, feeling maybe the breath moving or maybe just energy moving without focusing on specifics of your breathing. And you can stay here for as long as feels good for you. You can do this anytime without having moved before. And when you're ready, roll over to your side and use your hands to bring yourself up to seated. And if you feel like you'd love to explore more of these kind of movements and how they connect into our expression of our soul and of a more fulfilled life, then pop over to the 14-day free trial at the Embody Life Sanctuary, and we'd love to welcome you into the community.